Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rad Rise. This is Hassan Shirazi. We have a very special car here today. This is a 2005 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG. As you've been watching this channel, I've had two other AMGs here before. My own 1997 C36 AMG that has been heavily modified, both exterior and interior. You can click on the link to see that video. Also, we had a S63 AMG, a big saloon that was featured. Now this is a very significant car. 20 years ago, back in late 2002, when the new body style of this W211 was introduced, the cars that was the competitor of this car, they had nowhere near as much power as this car. This car came with a 5.4 liter supercharged, pumping out 469 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Now, you gotta understand, the BMW M5, the E39 chassis, was making only 394 horsepower. The Audi RS5 that was even introduced in 2003 was a 450 horsepower twin turbo. But even before that, it was just a regular S6 that was making like 330 horsepower. So this car, when it came out, it just brought the hammer. It just blew the competition out of the water. And when it was introduced in Paris Auto Show in 2002, it was the fastest sedan of the world up until then. It is a very special car. This is the 20 years anniversary of it when it was introduced. I know this model was a 2005, but this whole chassis, when it was introduced in 2003, this is a very significant for Mercedes, and it's very important for AMG. Because prior to that, AMG was an outhouse tuner. Then Mercedes kind of did a little collaboration on starting with actually the car that I had, the C36 AMG. And then they did a C43 AMG, and then the previous generation, the W211 E55, but it only had like 350 horsepower. So from the E55 that was a W210 to W211, and the horsepower jumped from 350 all the way to 469. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about some of the features of this car, why it's so significant. We're going to be driving it, and then we're going to give you some pros and cons on it towards the end of the session. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about what's the most important part of this car. It's the engine. AMG has been known to make high performance engine, and this car is no exception. This is a V8, 5.4 liter. The engine code is M113K, K meaning compressor, which is a supercharged, and a German word for supercharged. It makes 469 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. The fuel economy is not the greatest, but I'm pretty sure somebody that's gonna buy this car doesn't care about the fuel economy. It's 13 in the city, 19 on the highway. Single overhead cam engine, very reliable engine, except the heat exchangers on this car, sometimes they're small, they need to be upgraded. Also the electronic intercooler pump, they sometimes, because of the high heat and humidity, they tend to fail, and then it increases the temperature in the intakes, and that can cause a lot of problems. Those are the main problems with the engine, but besides that, it's a very reliable engine, and a lot of AMG enthusiasts, muscle car enthusiasts, they know why this car is so important because of its performance and its reliability. Okay, let's talk about the suspension and braking of this car. This car originally came with 18-inch AMG split alloys. However, the owner of this car liked the wheels on E550 of the same era, and then he switched them out. The brake calipers are 8 piston brake calipers in the front with 14.2-inch rotors. On the back, you have 4 piston calipers with 13-inch rotors. And this car also comes with aromatic suspension with 3 levels or 3 settings, and then it also is able to raise and lower the car. The styling of this car is very subtle, and it's basically a sleeper. You come to a light, you have no idea that you have this type of car with this type of performance right next to you, and that was one of the greatest things about this body style. Newer AMGs have a lot of badges and flares and brake calipers and everything that says it's an AMG, but this car just didn't have that. It's very subtle, and it makes it a true sleeper. Besides the E55 and AMG letter emblems and the quad exhaust tips, plus the V8 compressor insignias on both sides of the front fenders, you can't tell this car apart from a regular E-Class. So this car is a true sleeper. Driving the E55, I'm gonna be giving it a little bit of gas. Oh my God. Woo! It is fast. Oh, yeah, it's definitely got a lot of power to it. Now this engine is 20 years old. This engine won the 2003 Performance Engine of the Year. That's how much advanced this engine was. I'm gonna make a little U-turn. Lots of horsepower, lots of torque. As I'm going in the corners, it also has the side bolsters for the seats. Very, very nice Napa leather, anthracite wood. Nice grippy steering wheel, although the wood is can be slippery. The owner also had the steering wheel replaced. It's got more grip here, stitched leather. But it's such a fun car to drive. Imagine this car had so much more horsepower and torque compared to the RS5 that was even replaced in 2003 and the E39 M5. This car was probably the first AMG and Mercedes collaboration or car that really put AMG on the map. Before that, everybody, you had to be a really car enthusiast to know about AMG. But this car made AMG a mainstream tuner, and it just made people know about AMG a lot more. $77,000 back then. Right now you can find one of these cars for like $15,000 to $20,000. The prices of these is definitely rising because of the reliability of the engine, and it's easy to work on. Think about it, it's kind of like compared to an American muscle car. There's not too much electronics involved with it, so it's a lot nicer to work with, reliable, so you don't have to worry about a lot of the things that you would have to worry about other German cars, the newer German cars, even the newer AMGs. So Mercedes sold about 300,000 of the E-Classes of this generation, the W211. A lot of enthusiasts like the E55 that was built between 2003 through 2006 versus the E63, which is on the same body style, but it's a different engine, 6.2 liter naturally aspirated. Although that one has more horsepower, about 30 more horsepower. It's got a lot of problems with like rod bearings, so it's not a reliable engine. A lot of enthusiasts, they like this car. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Rad Rides, doing a review of the E55 AMG 20th anniversary. It's such an iconic and legend. This car started basically all the horsepower competition between all these Teutonic brands, the German brands. It's such a fun car. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll definitely be back with another episode of Rad Rides. We have 2 videos at least every week, Wednesdays and Sundays, and we're definitely looking for you to come back. Have a good one. Woo-wee!